Welcome to Terra at Home with your host, Chris Moretti.
Good morning and welcome to Terra at Home. This morning we're joined by the TERRA Landscape Coach, Laura Bittner. Thanks for being with us, Laura.
My pleasure.
As the summer gets a little bit later, something really special is happening in the gardens, and that's our ornamental grasses are really coming to life. So this morning we're going to walk you through some of our favorites and explore this great world of ornamental plants that I think are kind of underused in the landscape. They are gaining popularity though.
They are, and I think just because of their sheer versatility. There are literally plants for every size and shape in the landscape and color. You know, normally we may think of grasses as green, but it's not the case these days, not at all.
Absolutely, and that's a really good point. We think grass green and it's kind of a one-note thing, but such isn't the case. We've got a world of grasses to discover that have all sorts of different shapes, forms, and colors. So let's start off with some really bright options in the smaller category. These offer some of the greatest color available.
One of my favorites is the Hackanachoa grass, and it actually does well in shady spots as well. So you can really have that look and feel of grass in a shady spot. It kind of cascades over even a rock or the border of your bed and just adds this brilliant kind of lime color. There's another variety that has a variegated double green, kind of a lime and a darker, which is really quite spectacular in the shade. It really stands out.
Especially for a shady spot where obviously it's a little bit darker, something with that really bright chartreuse color would completely shine out of a darker space.
Yes, definitely. And then we come to the sedges, the family of sedges, which most often are a variegated green and white, but there are other colors available too. The sedges do well in shade, so they get a little bit taller, a little more compact rather than cascading than the Hackanachoa, but again, just a great addition. Gets little seed heads at the top as we are kind of heading through into fall, and just adds, again, a nice element of that grass to shady areas.
Something interesting about that variety that comes to mind is a really different texture. Whereas the Hackanachoa is sort of a more of a bushy sort of plant, this is a really strappy foliage that adds a really unique ornamental interest, and that kind of brings us to our next one as well.
Yes,
we've got
these both actually
a really
are
unique color.
Are my favorites. The black mondo grass is black. It's not purple, it's black. Now you can see some of its new growth does have some green to it, but it is a black grass. It doesn't get very big, it stays relatively under a foot tall and wide, but pairing it with something like we have here, another one of my favorites, the red of the Japanese bloodgrass, is really quite a stunning combination. The Japanese bloodgrass gets to about 2 feet tall and just lasts in this red color all summer long into the fall, and even in the snow, you can almost see a little bit of red, and in this case, black.
Fantastic.
I know.
Something that also brings to mind as well is variance in height, obviously. We're starting off with some of the smaller grasses. And again, often when we think of ornamental grass, I know I think of a certain type, maybe a miscanthus, that's sort of a big presence in a landscape, but there truly is grass for every application in a landscape. Like these would be perfectly at home in a rock garden or the front of a border. There are lots of places to use them.
Yes, and these guys love full sun and really just add not only color but a little bit of that wispiness without having a large space of grass.
Let's move on to our next one. We've got, of course, a classic color from grass in a landscape, and that's a bright blue, which is stunning.
This is the sapphire oak grass, and it really is, for me, it almost gives kind of a desert feel. You know, it's like an arid plant almost, but it stays relatively this size, about 1.5 foot tall, and just keeps this blue color all through the summer.
Speaking of desert, let's talk about that. One of the things I like best about ornamental grasses is their ability to be drought tolerant and their low maintenance appeal in a garden. Tell us about that from a coaching perspective.
Okay, so low maintenance is right. Basically, you cut the grass back in the spring. You can do it in the fall. I like to leave mine so you have that little bit of interest through the winter. You cut them back about 6 inches from the ground in the springtime, and then they just come back. You can't get more low maintenance than that. Once established, they're highly drought tolerant, so they can go through long, extended periods of time without water if we're not happening to get any rain. So, I mean, really, often in coaching, people ask for low maintenance gardens, and grasses have to be included in that.
And with this great family of plants that offer so much versatility, it's a great option. We're moving on to maybe slightly more traditional, what you think of when you think of ornamental grasses. Maybe people's first exposure, I know mine, was something just like this green mound, but there's more to it than meets the eye.
There is. This is a grass called hamlin, and it is a dwarf variety of grasses. So again, it's bigger than the ones we've just seen, probably getting to about 3 feet tall, and it sends out a little seed head that is so soft and wispy. It's a great addition to any garden where there are children, because they love to just play with the little bunny tail almost that comes off of this plant.
So there's a sensory appeal to different grasses as well.
Oh, of course.
That brings me to this next one, which happens to be one of my personal favorites. You can see it looks markedly different than some of the others we've looked at, and really what stands out about this plant to me is texture. It's just a textural marvel.
Yes, it is, and its stalks are much thinner than some of the other grasses, and then rather than just have one long blade, we have these wispy leaves coming off, and then of course these interesting, neat little seed heads that come down.
Which is kind of its namesake. Northern sea oats is what we're looking at, and it does look like oats.
Yep, and they just blow in the breeze, and they add so much to any landscape that you put them in. The sea oats is going to get about 3 feet tall, so not too much bigger than this, and 3 feet wide, and again, you don't have to do much to it.
I like this as an addition to a border, especially when we're talking about something perhaps like using a bunch of different grasses together to really showcase different textures, different heights. This makes a great mid-layer in a border or a landscape.
It definitely does, and you know, in any garden area that you're doing, keeping in mind heights of plants, and then starting with the tallest in the back and coming down is the way to go.
Let's talk about some of the big guys, which is what we're arriving to now. So we're talking about grasses in various types, different shapes, different forms, different heights. This is a group that gets quite a bit taller, so we're looking at anywhere from 4 to all the way up. You can get grasses all the way to 12 feet.
Yes.
So these might be good candidates, again, in that border, but can also make a great privacy screen. There are so many ways to use them.
Yes. This one in particular right here, Carl Forrester, is one of my favorites. It's different grass in the way that it's very cylindrical. It's not kind of a, I'll say, messy look where it's just a little more wild. Carl Forrester's 6 feet tall at its top growing, and again just stays very cylindrical, gets almost like a wheat sheen. In the fall, these just glow in the sunlight. They're absolutely beautiful. So it is a really great grass if you want to make some kind of border or barrier, visual barrier between you and a neighbor. It works really well.
And it's certainly a favorite among designers for a great reason.
Yes, for sure.
Laura, thank you so much for joining us
My
this
pleasure.
morning, giving us a bit of insight into this great category. And again, if you're looking for something to plant late this summer, going into the fall, make sure to consider ornamental grasses. Coming up next, more from Terra at Home.
Come and explore the new Terra, where color lives.
When we first bought the house, the lawn was nothing but brown. So I called my father-in-law. You know, he's really good with the lawn. He knows exactly what to do.
Well, I told him, you're Scott's turf builder. He said, well, I got this other stuff. And I told him, take it back to the store. But some brands have filler, like sand and gravel, stuff you don't want on your lawn. Scott's turf builder is pure food. Every granule's 100% nutrition. You get what you pay for every time. You see what happens, Tim, when you listen to your father-in-law?
All food, no filler. That's the Scott's advantage.
Welcome back to Terra at Home, where I'm now on location at Westfield Heritage Village. I'm joined by Rondalyn Brown. Rondalyn, thank you so much for having us out here today.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's a beautiful day. We've got the village bustling behind us, and it's a wonderful place. Can you tell us a little bit about Westfield Heritage Village? It's managed by the Hamilton Conservation Authority.
That's correct. Yes, it is. And it's owned by the City of Hamilton. And we have a collection here of over 35 historic buildings that we've moved from all over southern Ontario to this location. And they represent many different things. We have a general store, we have a church, we have lots of log buildings, we have a blacksmith shop, a cabinet maker shop, lots of different things. And they're filled and furnished with over 25,000 artifacts. So we're really preserving the whole history of this area right here.
It's an amazing collection and an amazing place. What a wonderful thing to have right here in the heart of Hamilton. You said that the buildings came from all over southern Ontario. Do they represent a wide span of time, or is it a specific period that you're trying to represent?
Very good question. We actually show from the late 1700s right up to the early 1900s. So when people go through in the different sections, they learn about how things developed from that early time period right up till the 1920s.
Very cool. It's obviously some really interesting stuff to see, and it's a wonderful place for the whole family to come and see. What's the season of the village?
We're open every Sunday and holiday, right from the beginning of March right through till the end of October. So Sundays and holidays, 12:30 till 4 o'clock. And if you come out on those days, you'll see the volunteers in their period clothing and the period of their building, so a wide range of different costuming. And they're doing demonstrations, so the blacksmith shop is making items in there, the cabinet makers are busy working away, the general store is selling candies, that kind of thing.
That's cool.
And yeah, it's great. And then we also have special events. So in March on the Sundays, we have our maple syrup program, which is very delicious.
Yes.
And we have an ice cream festival in August. We do Halloween program, and then we also do Saturday nights at Christmas time, and we have fireworks in winter in the evenings, which is really nice too.
Coming up, I've heard through the grapevine, in the end of August, I believe there are some ghost tours happening.
We do, yep. We still have tickets left for August the 19th for the Friday evening ghost tours.
That's really neat.
Yes.
So is it sort of a little spooky walk through the village?
It's not really so much ghosts in that way as ghosts from the past. So we have different characters, personalities from history who tell a little story, different little stories.
Now, you've mentioned a key word here, volunteers, and
Yes.
you have a whole lot of them that make this place possible.
We do, yeah. We wouldn't be able to operate without them. We have over 300 volunteers, right from babies come with their moms, right up to a lot of retired volunteers as well. And they're involved in virtually everything. They help with the maintenance, working on the buildings, they sew the costumes, they do the gardens. They're involved in everything, and they're wonderful. And then of course when visitors come, the main thing is they are in the period clothing and doing the different demonstrations, and there's a lot of trades and activities that you won't see anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, things done by hand and that kind of thing.
I think the costumes are really part of what make it so special and such a unique place and a unique experience. The volunteers actually make their own costumes?
They do, yeah. And they make the patterns in our collection. We have some clothing of the time period, and they very carefully make the patterns out of the original clothing and then reproduce them. And we're very careful on detail, what type of hat would have been worn at that time period, the jewelry they would or wouldn't have worn, right down to the shoes. We even have a shoemaker here who makes original shoes.
That's unbelievable.
And of course with the different time periods. So yeah, it's great. And July and August on the Sundays, we actually do a little mini fashion show and go right through the time periods out on our bandstand, our Victorian bandstand, and you can see all the different costumes that they've made, and they were.
So it's obviously a really unique way to show kids especially a little piece of history and how it has worked and as you said, phased through the 1700s into the 1900s and learn through that transition. Do people at the village coming to visit have an opportunity to interact with the volunteers, and do they learn that way?
Yeah, absolutely. We have different activities. For instance, if they go into the schoolhouse, we'll give them a little slate and a slate pencil, and they can do things like that. And it is a unique way of learning, and the founders of the village, that's what they wanted, was you can teach a lot in a classroom, but when you can actually go out and actually experience it, it is a much different experience. So we have a lot of school programs come in during the school year.
Ah, so you can actually have group tours and maybe an organized event come to the village for
Absolutely.
a specific occasion?
That's right, yes, and we also have a lot of weddings here on the Saturdays throughout the year because we have the church, the Mountsburg Church, where they can have their service in, or some like to have it on the Victorian Bandstand, and then we have a hall for their reception as well.
Do many wedding parties choose to be in period as well?
Some do, yeah, some get everything in the fashion of the time, and others just use it as a background.
It is a unique background. Back to the artifacts themselves within the buildings. You mentioned that they came from all over the place. Now,
Absolutely.
Are they sourced from private collections? Where do they all come from?
They're actually all donated.
Wow.
So families who are perhaps moving, or parents or grandparents have passed away, and they want this item that the public can always see it, and it will be preserved, and so they donate it to us out here.
It's a great place for something, maybe a family heirloom even, or something
Absolutely.
of that sort to sort of
Yes.
live on and be shared with generations to
That's
come.
right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a really unique thing having volunteers on site, and obviously it's something that they're all very passionate about.
Yes.
Is that if this is something that speaks to someone at home, are you accepting volunteers on a regular basis?
Absolutely. Yep. We're recruiting volunteers all the time. We have a coordinator who'd love to interview them and talk about what their interests might be and how that would fit in with what we're doing. And as I said, it's some like to be in the period clothing and interpret the buildings. Others are in the gardens. Others are helping paint and do all sorts of other things. So there's an opportunity for pretty much anyone.
Being part of a project like this and an environment like this is obviously something that comes of a labor of love. What do you like best about working here?
Well, I have been here 30 years, so there's
I'd
a lot
say you
to
like
love.
it.
Absolutely. And I enjoy the history, and this site is a very tranquil, relaxing site. But it's the people, it's the volunteers who work here, it's the visitors who come here, it's seeing the children learning, it's everything, it's the whole package is great. And it always just seems to be changing as much as it stays the same. We're always doing new and exciting things.
It's wonderful. For people who are going to come out to spend a day here, what should they be prepared for? Should they bring anything? What should they look out for?
They just have to be dressed for the weather. If they come out of maple syrup, it could be muddy, icy, snowy.
Yep.
And same as the Christmas program. And there's a lot of, going outside between the buildings or going for a horse and wagon ride. So dress for the weather. And other than that, make sure you give yourself lots of time because there's lots to see and do.
Fabulous. Thanks so much for having us
My
here today,
pleasure.
Rondalyn. Is there a website for people to check out if they want to?
Absolutely.
Learn more?
You can look us up on westfieldheritage.ca.
Fantastic. Thank you so much once again. Join us after the break for more summer fun on TERRA at Home.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Welcome back. I'm fortunate enough to be joined again by Barbecue Naz.
Fortunate enough. Go play lottery.
From Broil King. Thanks again for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me down again. This is great.
Yeah, I love having you here barbecuing. We have a awesome breakfast lined up, it seems like.
This is breakfast fit for a king. or queen, of course. The men will be cooking breakfast for the lovely ladies, yes. And again, I'm using accessories. I always, when we get together, I always talk to you about different accessories and how to utilize them in the grill. It makes the grilling experience less effortless when you're using the right accessory. I'm going to make a frittata, asparagus, feta cheese, cherry tomato, and garlic frittata. And I'm going to use a skillet, a cast iron skillet. And again, use safety. They've already warned me once I accidentally touched it, and somebody said, "Hey, that's what the glove's for." That's what the glove's for. Make sure. And we're going to also use a griddle. Yeah, which and this is sometimes, you know, we always talk about the size of the grills. When you have a large grill like this, it's very simple to do this kind of stuff. So you can do 2 different temperatures. We got this going at a low medium temperature, and we got this going right underneath the cast iron grill. We have it low medium, but on the outside I have it at medium high. And now what we did, so let's move on to the ingredients here. What we did was I put some oil in there and some asparagus. I cut them about 1 inch thick, and we've had these sauteing for a couple minutes now. Now once they look like that, you're going to put in the garlic. We're going to put that garlic right in there.
Just some minced garlic.
While I'm doing this, I need you to mix up. We've got 6 to 7 eggs, 6 to 8 eggs. We're going to put in some half and half cream, about 1/4 cup. I'm going to get you to whisk that up together.
Perfect.
And I'll mix this stuff here. We got the garlic. We're going to put in the cherry tomatoes, and you don't have to put them all in, just enough to cover the base and to have just enough, just like the asparagus. Not too many asparagus, not too many cherry tomatoes. Perfect.
Okay,
now
I
got to put some salt and pepper
I
in.
have a question for you about doing the frittata on the grill. Salt and pepper?
Yes, salt, about a teaspoon of salt.
I do frittata a lot inside. Normally I, start it on my burner and then put it in the oven under broil just to get the top nice and nice and brown and
commercially,
firm. So,
I see what you're saying.
So on the grill, you don't need to do that broil then.
Well, no. What we're doing here is, because the skillet is nice and it's heavy, it has great retention, and the whole skillet gets hot. The bottom, I have it at a lower temperature. The burners are right underneath it, a little bit lower. The outside burners, which are sitting on either end of the skillet or the griddle, or pardon me, the skillet, they're going to rotate. When the lid's down, we're going to put the lid down. It's going to rotate in a circular motion, almost like a convectional oven. And it's going to give you that indirect cooking on it. So the top gets cooked just like as if you put it on the broiler, like you're talking about here. Okay, so we're going to put the feta cheese.
Okay, I think this looks good.
Yes, and now put that right on there. Get that all nice and even. See how that's nice and even? You got to make sure that that's even. Spread out, and then we're going to put the whole mixture in there. Go right ahead, beautiful. Make sure it covers it nice and even.
Perfect.
Yeah. And this is going to turn out absolutely amazing. You don't want to touch it, you just want to kind of set it in its place.
And then just let the barbecue do the rest.
And let the barbecue do the rest. Put the lid down, and now that hot air is going to rotate in a circular motion. Very, very simple. Now that we got the bowl clear, we're going to do the French toast. Let's get the French toast going. I'm going to use 4 more eggs. We can use the same bowl, and you can whisk that up. Now I'm going to tell you my secret for French toast. You know, I don't do this too often, but whipping cream instead of milk. I'm going to put a little bit of whipping cream in there, and honey. Honey. We're going to put honey in there, about 2 tablespoons of honey. You know that's going to taste good, eh? And we're gonna take, you can get the sandwich bread. I cut it about 3/4 inch. I get the fresh bread, and then I go and cut it about 3/4 inch. You have those cutters now. And we're gonna use 3/4 inch bread, sandwich bread, and we're gonna put it right on the griddle. We're gonna put some butter on there.
So is the griddle on right now?
Yeah, I've got that set at a low medium temperature.
Low medium.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a little bit of this butter on there. Beautiful. Actually, that's just a little too high. We're gonna turn it down.
Sizzling.
Yeah, sizzling.
Great. So these accessories with the Broil King, do they actually come with the barbecue, or is it something that you would kind of purchase?
These are all accessories that you buy after you buy your grill. I mean, you can buy baskets. You want to dip that and drop it in there, right in there? Beautiful. You can get cast iron griddles. You can get baskets for these things. You can get woks, flat toppers. There's so many beautiful. There's so many different accessories you can get. Maybe I'll move this one to the back for you. That give you some room.
Perfect, thank you.
There's so many different accessories you can get for the grill. It's effortless. With the right tool and the right accessory, the barbecuing experience is so beautiful. It's so easy to do. And you look good.
Yeah.
Oh, those are doing up nicely.
Very nice. Wow.
Okay.
This is a nice treat.
And that'll give you, that's a nice skillet. That'll give you about 6 pieces of toast at one time.
Right.
You're right in there, eh? Fingers and all, just like me. Just like me.
Okay, we'll put that one to the side now.
Yeah, and we're gonna top that up. When we put it all together, we're gonna actually, you can put the lid down, it'll cook nice and evenly. Okay. And when we come back, we'll put it all together, cut up some strawberries, and finish it all up, okay? Is that good?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Got you off guard, that one.
Yeah, no, everything looks great. So we're gonna put some fresh strawberries on.
Fresh strawberries, some maple syrup.
Maple syrup on top.
And put it all together.
Okay.
Okay?
Come and explore the new Terra, where color lives.
So we're back. And everything's looking great, almost ready. The frittata is nicely set at the top, bubbling around the outside.
That's
it looks
beautiful.
Great. It looks great, and it hardly took any time, too.
It doesn't. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. Very simple to do. You pre-cook the asparagus again, like we did earlier. I actually put it up here and I let it cool down a little bit while we get that all ready to go. You let it cool down a bit. Actually, let's take it right off. This is ready to go. So let's put it right on here.
Perfect.
And when you take the frittata out, if you're going to flip it over, you got to make sure it completely cools down. Okay, that'll take about 15 to 20 minutes to cool down. Okay. And then you can either cut it right in there or flip it over. I like to flip mine over. Perfect. Those are coming out absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, so we're making some more toast.
Look at the finish. Look at the finish on that. That's so simple to do.
I always seem to know exactly the right moment to show up, don't I? Breakfast is about ready to be served.
No apron on her, no nothing. She just comes with a fork. At least she brought us forks and plates.
Yeah.
I'm taking it you want to have some. Is that what you're doing?
I need. Naz, I love the idea. Breakfast al fresco, especially in the summer. It's so hot, you know, you don't want to be cooking inside, but having a great time outside. And this, I think, could be a really great idea for camping with the grill.
Oh, absolutely. You can get small griddles for the small grills. Absolutely. Skillets. Absolutely. It's all about technique. Definitely. And there's lots of, there's a lot of an area in our website, broilkingbbq.com. There's an area in there. It shows you how to use all the different cooking techniques, gives you some tips on it, and tons of recipes. Very simple.
Now you have some extra accessories that you brought.
Speaking of the accessories, I wanted to touch on the accessories. Absolutely. We talked about earlier about some accessories. This is a wok. This, if you want to do vegetables in here, you want to do, you can even do a roast in here if you really want to, and then take the whole roast off. But this is our new wok and a topper. Our toppers are great. This you can use to put your vegetables, fish on here. You want to do wings in here. You want to do chicken pieces in there. You want to do pizza in here. It's fantastic to do. It's great. It's great when you want to use small vegetables so they don't fall through the grids. You use yourself one of these toppers or the wok. And our newest item, which is the pizza stone. This is pizza on a grill is becoming so popular.
Wow.
And this is our newest one. This has got a nice stone on top. It's got the handles to take the whole thing off, and it even comes with a, let me put this so it doesn't fall over, but it also comes with a pizza peeler, which is removable, so you can put it away. And then the pizza, when you go to take it off, it doesn't fall off. It stops and comes off. So these are all really cool accessories. Very important to have the right accessory or the right tool for the right job. Gloves being the right tool for the job so you don't burn yourself. You got those done? Let's put them on here.
Yeah, let's put them on.
Okay. Actually, why don't we give some to her? We're going to give you a couple pieces to you.
Don't mind if I do. And a bit of fresh fruit on top.
You want some fruit
too? Doesn't get any better.
Okay, we'll put a couple for you. We'll leave this one here for you.
Okay, great.
And that big one over there for me.
That's for you.
Here's a couple of strawberries. Wow. Strawberries.
Fantastic. Excellent ideas for the grill. Thank you so much for joining us, Naz. This has been inspirational, and I'm anticipating a delicious addition here.
What a way to wake up in the morning, eh?
Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for joining us this morning. Join us next week for more tips and tricks from Terra at Home.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Enjoy.